baby beard.
Waited for you, Fry.
This episode traumatized me as a young person.
My head is hurting again.
Where's my firstborn son?
God does not care about me masturbating.
Your singing is bad and you should feel bad. First get out into bus, so you're like, oh no!
Yeah, I don't like myself becoming the protagonist of this podcast.
You've been in
Yeah, because you haven't learned anything.
Let's talk about
Sci-Fi.
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 Sock Fock.
So I realised that, because I was talking, I think maybe I was trying to think about things for this.
Yeah.
Because you said, oh, what's your favourite sci-fi? And I'm having a really hard time, honestly, thinking.
Do you want me to kick it off and you can think more? Or have you got something?
Well, I think because
Oh, you have lots.
I more tend towards space westerns.
Right.
Just because I think, and I know sci-fi extends to problems that we have and looks at where our future is going and tries to see how those problems will evolve on their own. Whereas space westerns are generally a bit more of a Western kind of in telling. It's a coming of age.
Yeah,
This is not it's not always the case, but
the West is a frontier and space is the frontier, right?
Yes.
Like that's the logic.
It's
is
more
that
like an adventure.
It's
kind
an
of thing.
adventure. It's exploratory. It's less aligned with space, the final frontier, like Star Trek, and more aligned with like those 1950s, those action comics and that sort of thing, or action TV shows in the 60s and 70s.
Which is what I think I tend to veer towards. I don't know why. I think it's possibly just because it's easier to insert yourself into those characters. It's generally a bit more optimistic in doing so. The biggest sci-fi influence on me as a child definitely was Star Wars.
Which ones did you... Because Star Wars is an interesting thing in itself.
Yeah.
What was the first thing that you got your hands on?
I think it was definitely the original trilogy. Mm-hmm. We'd watch it. And
Save time by saying Tridge,
yeah. And I remember like really loving the aesthetics, the puppet work, the pure creation and all the aliens and stuff like that. But the fact that it was when you try and do a world building really well, you'll have all these different creatures and whatever just in the same kind of place. And
you don't have to explain all of them, you just put them together.
And you're straight in, and that's the kind of shit that I love. Firefly, we don't need to delve into that because I'm sure Sean's done that to fucking death.
Sean, in the previous Context is Key, talked about that.
Yeah, but
not as long as we have. We've talked a while. We've talked your ears off.
As long as we've done.
Hey, we were going to do a Let's Play, Sean, so we would be up till 1. That's right. That's right, Ellen.
Yes.
I'm going to keep you up till 1. No,
Nope.
I'm joking.
So I tend towards space westerns, I think, more. I love the Borderlands games as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that
because
about
I think it drops you in.
Yeah, totally. And
those
doesn't really explain
that kind of genre and goes, here you are.
Go on.
Have fun.
Get the guns.
Get out there. Go explore, essentially.
This is a rare thing. These things are hostile to you.
Yeah, have an adventure.
Yeah.
Have an action film. Have a heist. Have a something.
Yeah. Space is the setting, not the focus.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think of like a sci-fi example that I really dig, like apart from Black Mirror, that really goes like, let's look forward. Let's look at these issues. And my favorite Black Mirror episode is not one that I think everyone really likes. It's I'll Be Back.
I've not seen much Black Mirror. I've seen like
one. It's in the first season, I'm fairly sure. Maybe
I saw
it's the one with Donald Gleason.
No,
and,
I haven't seen it.
Okay, but it's basically like if you were able to kind of create a digital or somewhat living clone of your loved ones based on any data that was collected of them while they were alive.
Sean has just confirmed to us that it was season 1.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
I know it's called I'll Be Back. And would you do it, essentially? And I think it deals with those... A lot of people have gone, oh, it's really cliched and whatever. But it's like, yeah, it's cliched for a fucking reason.
Sure.
Grief and death and loss will always be part of the human condition.
Mm-hmm.
Always. And we have not found a way to deal with it yet. We simply have not. So that problem's going to continue long into the future. And it's a big problem where you go, oh, would I? Would I? I don't know. I don't know if there would be any solace in there whatsoever. And the acting is fucking brilliant. But yeah, that's my kind of sci-fi exploration, apart from Mass Effect, which I would live and die for.
Well, that's again a bit of a space western in that.
Yeah, it's
Space is the frontier. They're discovering new tech, but I don't want to class everything as space western.
Yeah,
definitely space adventure.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a fair thing to say.
What about
you? So mine starts the same. Mine starts with my being born into Star Wars. My parents were big fans of it, actually.
Yeah.
Both my mum and my dad were big fans of Star Wars and didn't try and push it on me, but were like...
We're watching it.
No, they were just like, it's in the drawer if you want to watch it.
We're just going to leave it here.
Yeah.
Walk away.
And it was implied that it was... My parents had a lot of stuff about like... I don't want to rag on my parents a lot, but they had a lot of like... in consuming media, it says a lot... I think it says a lot about me that I watched Fantasia as a kid. Like value and media... were highly aligned. Yes. Right. I only watched James Bond movies because my last name was Bond. And my dad thought it would be... No. My dad thought that it was in my best interest to have James Bond knowledge more than other kids.
Right.
So
wow, that's...
Yeah.
That's very, like, logical pop culture.
Yeah. Like, my dad was like... You don't want to be in a conversation with someone about your last name and not know about the pop culture around your last name.
No, I'm with your dad. That's smart.
It's very interesting. So, like, a lot of value was placed in it, and Star Wars apparently made the cut.
Fucking great.
So I got to watch Star Wars, and I really loved it. And I thought Episode 1 was better than the original trilogy.
Yeah.
Because it came out when I was a kid.
When we were kids, so...
and I was like, yeah, it's got a dance with swords, and they fight, and the music... that's great.
Brian Blessed being a Gungan.
Yeah, exactly. And some weirdly racist caricatures.
Yep.
Yeah.
A lot of things in the 90s did... still do today.
Yikes. Anyway.
What else do you like?
And then that moved into what probably the science fiction that I pivot around the most, which is The Matrix. So The Matrix was the first DVD I ever got. The reason we bought a DVD player in the house. We didn't have a good enough TV to run the DVD player. So the screen would flicker. And I would watch it with the screen flickering
you're in the Matrix.
Every second the screen would flicker and it would like hurt everyone else's eyes. And I just tuned it out because I loved the Matrix that much.
Fucking shit. But did that not give you a 4D fucking experience because it's flickering like
it's trying to give me a seizure?
Oh my God. Yeah. I cannot imagine what watching The Ring would have done.
It was
on that TV.
It was pretty full on.
Would that not have scared you shitless?
I don't like scary things.
I know, but if you did watch The Ring...
It would absolutely scare me, of course. So the Matrix was another one of like critical like interest. And then it kind of like just floats around a little bit, like Star Wars a bit more. I was never into Star Trek. We couldn't find an option
Neither
of
was
watching
I,
it.
but I don't know how I would have ever watched it.
I'm in the same boat.
Yeah.
All I knew is that my uncle watched it, and he was a Trekkie, like he was a big fan of it. He was a weird guy. Still is a bit of a weird guy.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying Trekkies are weird guys.
But you've
this
just
man
gone and said it.
who was a Trekkie was a weird guy. I've tried to watch it as an adult, as a 28-year-old man, and I hate it. I had a partner show it to me. She really loved the show, and she was like, "Watch this episode, watch this season. We're gonna watch the whole series." And I watched it out of kindness, and I was bored the entire way through.
Yeah.
I hated it so much. And, that's not a dig at Trekkies or anyone who likes Star Trek. Like what you like, my friends.
Yeah. I've heard good things about Discovery. I thought maybe I could just, get in there. But as I've said, sci-fi is not something that, really, I actively seek out. I think
Totally.
I enjoy what I enjoy, and generally it's good no matter...
Whatever the form.
Yeah, I look for good fucking films, I guess, maybe.
Says the horror flick chick.
And then also some
schlocky.
Absolute shit.
Yeah. So the rest of my sci-fi predominantly comes from anime.
Yep.
So Neon Genesis, Trigun, Cowboy Bebop, then into... what else is there?
Did you ever watch Ian Flux?
Yeah, briefly. Ghost in a Shell, briefly.
Oh, yeah.
And video games. So games like StarCraft informed my kind of... Oh, and films like Alien and Aliens.
I was going to say Alien, but then I had a big argument with someone and they said it didn't count. And
What?
I agreed with them. Because
Why?
it's a slasher film. The format is a slasher film.
No, the format is
space.
a thriller, not a slasher.
Well, they get picked off very similar in to a slasher film. Either way, it doesn't... Because I've heard big arguments either side, like if you can classify Alien as a horror or if you can classify it as a sci-fi, and no one seems to be happy either way.
Here we go. I'll put it on the internet. It's a sci-fi thriller because the main POV comes from the protagonist. Yes. And in a slasher, a lot of the POV comes from the slasher and the killer.
And we don't...
And that their actions are... The victim's actions are in their own way unique and seemingly, culturally, deserving of death.
Right.
So it's the classic, like, it's what fucking...
Cabin in the Woods.
Cabin in the Woods deconstructs, right? That's slasher. They've made mistakes. They deserve to be punished.
They must be punished, yes.
Yeah, there's a cosmic justice.
Whereas Alien, they are also not teens.
They're not teens.
All different. Well, they're all definitely adults, but also further along in age.
Yeah.
They're blue-collar workers.
Yeah.
They're just in it for a job.
Yeah.
You would never guess that Ripley would be the final person until she is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The characters don't do anything in of themselves. Like, they collectively get the egg and bring it back in. Mm-hmm. They work for a corporation, and that's the antagonist.
Yep.
Like, that's the overarching kind of villain.
I'm going to say it's a sci-fi horror.
Sure.
Because I don't know. Thriller I associate as more a psychological thing.
I like to classify things as thrillers because I prefer them.
Yep.
And I don't like to like horror.
I like it, therefore it must be a thriller.
Right. That's right. This seems like it's too much horror for me. I'm going to call this a thriller and not feel bad about myself.
Yeah, but Alien I love for and Aliens because it's that worn future. It's that 70s future, which is really nice because nothing looks nice.
No, that's right.
It all looks very shitty. But it's
mining in space. It's dirty. Space is not clean.
Yeah.
And then I do like my dark futures. I like my grim dark reality, a la Warhammer 40k. I like the kind of the future in crisis. And of course, the big science fiction that both you and I have forgotten, British Doctor Who.
Oh, yeah. Whoops.
I'm a big Doctor Who fan. I think
My bad.
you are.
I haven't watched it for a while. I got really frustrated during the reign of Moffat.
Yeah, same. I actually tapped out just before Capaldi came in.
No, I'm similar. And I love Peter Capaldi.
So do I.
I love him so much, but I just got burnt out.
Yep,
guess.
I'm the same. I feel as though they didn't use Capaldi correctly.
No, I haven't figured out how to watch it.
And it's got a female lead. I still haven't seen any of her work.
Yeah, I know, and I love Jodie Whittaker, but
yeah, same.
It's kind of just me being too lazy to actually figure out where to watch Doctor Who on.
I just don't want to watch it. To be quite honest, I'm kind of burnt out.
Yeah.
But certainly the Eccleston, Tennant, both of those two were wonderful, and the who was
Russell T Davies, who also did Torchwood.
That's right,
which I really enjoyed.
I didn't enjoy Torchwood.
I really enjoyed it until the Children of Earth
plot point
was really fucking good, and that had a lot of, I guess, complicated, like, big questions.
Yeah.
Is it, the life of many versus the life of a few? Is that worth it? Blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of kind of not great episodes in Torchwood, but I liked the feel of it. It was a similar thing. It was like a bit rough and tumble.
It was a little more schlocky from memory.
Yeah, it was. But it also had and
a little more adult.
LGBTQ representation, which was fun, good to have, somehow more believable just to have kind of adults encountering all these weird fucking catching idiot balls for plots somehow.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, I get that. The other science fiction that I can remember consuming is comics, and one of my favorite comics of all time is Transmetropolitan.
Oh yes.
If this episode comes out before our Cyberpunk, that's who I've based my character on predominantly, and if it comes out, what did I say, before or after? Whatever.
I should be able to tell you this.
It's real late, guys, and thank you for sticking with us. So after you've kind of figured that out, I hope, and if you haven't, there you go, there's the inspiration.
You know what I love?
What do you love?
Saga.
Saga?
Yeah, even
What's
though
Saga?
It rips out my heart on a daily basis. No, it's another comic.
Oh, okay.
It's really people fucking love it. It's set in the future, but I would say it's a space opera.
Okay.
Because it's about these two different races who their planets are at war. I think their planet is at war with this moon,
Cool.
and it's become a big kind of thing with other planets in it for their own gains and stuff. So much that the war's gone on and no one really fucking cares anymore. It doesn't really affect the planets directly involved, and now it's all interplanetary stuff and whatever. And anyway, this soldier and this rebel, I suppose, have a baby, and then fucking on the lam.
Yeah,
They
right.
got a little baby.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a fucking brilliant series. I think it's Brian K. Vaughan, who also did Why the Last Man and other many brilliant series. But yeah, it's I would say space opera.
Cool.
With the emphasis on the drama and all
opera
that.
part.
And it's not afraid to rip your fucking heart out and just kill off characters willy-nilly.
Cool. Sounds like my sort of thing.
It's awful and it makes me cry.
I love when you're made to feel sad things. Not you, particularly.
Me specifically.
That would make me a sadist, which I'm not.
We don't need to know.
That's fine. I'm not, apparently. Allegedly.
Said we don't need to know.
What was the thing that I was going to say? Battlestar Galactica.
Oh,
The new series. I watched
Fuck
that.
me up. I loved that.
I liked it until about season 3.
Yeah.
And then
It just got away from them.
The writers just did a bunch of drugs, didn't they?
Yep.
They
never had an ending in mind. So, but that's fine if you just don't keep watching.
Stargate, I watched very little of.
My brother watched, I believe. So
I know a lot of people like it, and it's always been one that I'd like to revisit. The film Blade Runner is one that I don't like.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I watched it recently. I've only watched it. I've tried to watch it a few times, and we, as aforementioned, we're doing a cyberpunk role-playing game. As a podcast. Cyberpunk is an inspiration to that genre. It's arguably like the first part of that genre, and I really don't like it. And I didn't even like the new version either.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I found both really hard to watch.
They are slow burns.
To me, they didn't start.
Yep.
Like, if not a slow burn, it's just the gas is on and I'm slowly dying. And the ignition switch, I'm like waiting, I'm trying to press it and there's nothing
It's
happening.
annoying because I do really like Blade Runner, but like it's just certain things like the rape scene, which is just like...
Oh, yeah,
it's
that's
inexcusable
awful.
if you do not address things like that.
That's all, and they had an opportunity to do in the 2049.
Yep. But no, they kind of retconned it to be like, no, they were in love. And I'm like, no.
No?
Excuse
Interesting.
me, I've seen the film.
Interesting. I like how we've taken the opportunity to talk about sci-fi and we just talk about what we like. Like, we're not giving context as to like...
I like it, therefore it must be good.
It's not like we're not talking about how sci-fi challenges us or like presents. Like, I was listening to Phil and Sean's episode.
Don't compare us.
Well, no, it's fine.
We're our own beings.
Yeah, exactly. No, I just find that interesting. Phil was talking about these, like why sci-fi challenges us and how, and Sean was talking about how like forms merge and like what he listens for and watches and that sort of thing. And we're like, oh yeah, I like this one. It was all right. It's pretty good. Oh, I don't like this one. Oh, that's all right.
Well, I think
one.
sometimes me and my co-writer for a play that we're working on, at the end of a week, we'll go see a film.
Yeah, right.
And we were talking about this and we're like, I think this actually helps creatively. Even if the genres are not related to what we are working on whatsoever, it turns on your brain a bit so that you are able to go, what do I like? What do I don't like? Because if you're not making...
critical decisions.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you're not making art that you like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
This doesn't really help people who are listening us trying to like figure out what they like, unfortunately.
No, it does. We've made a creative decision to like not really expound upon why we like things. We're just talking about what we like in an act of like creating like maybe of like a, what do you call them, a collage.
Yeah.
If you step back from that.
If you made a mood board of all the things that we like, you might be able to divine something about our personalities.
Yeah. Or even maybe just like the prevalence of, I know Phil's like from an English background, Sean travelled a bit as a young guy. You and I based in Australia.
Yep.
Maybe there's something there. I don't know. What was it? I was going to say a sci-fi thing that I really liked. It's completely gone. Oh, Murderball.
Don't know that one.
Motorbikes and roller skates. And it's a death match.
No, I think I have seen this.
And it's really bad, but it was really formative for me.
Can I be annoying?
Yeah, please.
I feel like I have seen that. I think it's rollerblades.
Oh yeah, it's rollerblades. It's not roller skates. Sorry, it's definitely blades. Blades are more extreme, and I'm doing an X sign with my arms. Extreme.
He's on X Games mode.
Yeah, exactly. I'm from the late 90s, early 2000s, where the letter X made everything cool. It did. If Rage Against the Machine had released not
X Against the Machine,
not Battle for Los Angeles, but another album other than the fourth one that wasn't supposed to go out, they would have probably called it Rage Against the Machine.
I really hope they didn't, and they wouldn't.
Speaking of music, there's a great band who did science fiction in their music writing.
Explain.
Coheed and Cambria.
Oh, I know them.
So Coheed and Cambria, the lead guitarist and singer, whose name eludes me right now, is a comic book writer. And the band's music and the stories work together. The comics work together. So you can read the graphic novels and listen to the music and kind of piece it all together. There are scenes ripped straight from the comics that are put into songs, underlying motifs and stuff like that, how he's thinking about these characters might work and that sort of thing.
Fuck, that's awesome.
It's real cool.
God, this is so long already, but that reminds me of something.
What? Tell me.
So one of my favorite...
I'm interested to learn.
Thank you. I love My Chemical Romance.
That's right.
Never changed from me at 11 years old to me at 23 years old, and it never will, baby. And so they are quite famous for a lot of concept albums, heavy concept, and really going a bit theatrical, inspired by Queen and bands that weren't afraid to really get into the kind of the drama of it all.
Yeah. The high stakes.
Yes, and their last album that they did together, probably not counting things that they released, was Danger Days: The True Lives of the Fabulous Killjoys. Right, and that whole album is a concept album, and it is very, I would say, cyberpunk, in that it is kind of post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, what you were describing it was kind of cyberpunk-y.
Yeah, the album itself is set kind of it's more Mad Max style,
right.
Post-apocalyptic, where, you have these brightly coloured rebels called the Killjoys, and there's big corporations that have taken over the world, essentially. They're basically trying to get back at the man kind of thing. And all their music videos tell a cohesive story throughout that album. So the album itself, if you listen to it track to track,
yes,
it tells the story of what happens to the Killjoys. Then
Pretty sure one of the Coheeds does that as well.
Yeah. And then because Gerard Way is a comic book writer, see the Umbrella Academy.
Don't know if you've heard of it.
I don't know
it's
if
on
you've
Netflix. That means we can tag this episode with the Umbrella Academy. So it potentially
can
reaches
we tag Gerard Way?
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh my God.
Let's DM him.
Oh my God.
Slide into his DMs.
No.
And it'd just be a photo of you.
I'm so embarrassed.
Saying that.
No,
That'll be it.
I'm not ready. I'm not ready to meet him. Anyway.
Oh my God. Ellen, this isn't happening.
It is. And anyway, so then there is a comic of the Fabulous Killjoys, which is set after the events of the album, which picks up, there's a little girl that is traveling with the Killjoys in the album, and then it picks up from her story, and that's more of the kind of, it's interspliced with the more corporate side as opposed to the kind of punks in the desert side.
Yeah, okay.
So you do get that kind of cyberpunk of, everyone going around and highly medicated, and if you express certain emotions, you're not.
It's dystopic. Dystopic.
Yeah.
Dystopic?
I don't know. But everyone should check it out. The art's by Becky Cloonan, and I fucking love her style. She's a real up and comer. Yeah, I love that kind of thing. Maybe that's what I like about sci-fi.
What do you like about it?
Well, I like
visuals?
taking down the man stories. And I think when you do sci-fi, it's gotten to the point where suddenly it's it's the breaking point.
Well, you're Australian.
It is that it's now or never.
You're automatically anti-authoritarian.
Am I?
Most of us are.
Oh.
We hate, most Australians hate structure and hate, top-down organisation. And we don't, agree with it.
Possibly.
We have a real anti-authoritarian streak that runs through.
We have that in our comedy of the larrikin who doesn't take anything seriously.
Yeah, in our drama. So the Castle is an Australian piece because it's A Family Against Corporate.
Yep.
Priscilla, comedy drama.
Yeah.
Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. All of the kind of like Australian iconic things. Someone telling us we can't do a thing and we do it. The one last thing that I was going to remind us all of is Stranger Things.
Oh yeah. Where does that fall?
So that's sci-fi. And that falls in that kind of whimsical 1980s E.T. sort of sci-fi. Where do you fall in that?
I love Stranger Things.
Yeah, great. So do I.
But I that's so weird that you say sci-fi. I would have I can never remember that as the genre of sci-fi, if you know what I mean. I think it's because it is a lot of it is just a big nostalgia letter for the it's a big letter of nostalgia for the 80s, and so that kind of trips me up in a weird way. I don't know why. I feel like that's its own little genre. It's not. I
think it's because we were talking about genre before. It's not a sci-fi overtly. So Star Wars is, because it has space and stuff. Stranger Things uses sci-fi to explore other things. Yes. Whereas those shows are science fiction first. Yeah. They can't exist without it. Almost. Fiction. Yeah.
And I think also because Stranger Things has the fantasy setup. The D&D setup.
Yes. That's right. And then it kind of subverts that almost.
Yeah.
Where it blends science fiction and fantasy together.
Yeah. No, I love Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Fuck me
so
up,
do I.
fan.
It's great.
All those kid actors. Great.
It's good work. Good work, young friends, young performers. Well done. If you're listening...
Give yourself a pat on the back. Yeah, because you really need it from us.
Yeah. from Chris and Ellen. That's some good work there. Just around minute 20 of episode 3 of season 2. I felt that performance wasn't great, whoever that was.
You know who you are.
Yeah, you know who you are. It's probably like a landscape shot, like an establishing shot of a tree.
It's probably David Harbour.
David, get it together, mate.
David,
what's going on?
You know.
Get your shit together,
Be
mate.
less likeable.
Be less of an all-round good person.
It's too much.
It's not good, yeah.
It's distracting.
We can't handle that. Is there anything other sci-fi? I'm just looking at Sean's big collection of fucking DVDs.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That's sci-fi, is it? I don't know. There's not much. Does X-Men count? Do superhero films count as science fiction?
I'm going to say no, because it'll further complicate things.
Yeah, and we have been talking for nearly 2 hours.
Oh my God, who's editing this?
Nobody. We're just going to let it run.
Jesus.
Yeah, why not? Long form. Well, this episode comes out, little peek behind the curtain, and we can edit this part out if we want. This episode,
if we feel inclined.
This episode comes out if a file has been corrupted or we've missed a deadline. This is our kind of this episode goes out in
break class and in case.
Yeah, this is our what do you call it? What's the word when things go wrong and you've got a backup plan? Contingency. This is our contingency episode.
I'm so glad.
They're really good things to have in case of one of us explodes or we have a hardware failure or you have a hardware failure or
I have an
yeah.
If one of us dies though, we can't then go back from it.
Yeah, we will. We'll just push on. I just put a little memoriam in the opening of every of the Let's Plays.
Can we adjust the
dedicate this
opening instead of baby beard media
and then you crying?
It's Marapi.
It's the funeral march. Gong.
Chris died.
Rip Phil.
Do you want sirens?
I do. Die? I want the smoke weed every day. Quote.
Can we have in memoriam your photo and then we'll have the deal with it Sonny's flip onto your face?
Hell yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Deal with it as they sit in a grave. You know what you should do? Take a photo of me if I have an open casket. Just take a photo of me.
No.
Just and have in the frame. I imagine my mum looking really outraged, just out of frame or just in frame.
Do that.
She's upset, and you're doing it as a selfie.
I really don't want to do that.
Just do that. Throw the gang signs up.
Okay, well,
hold up
we've
a little sign
recorded
that says
this now.
subscribe to Baby Beard
We've
Media.
recorded this now for posterity.
Yeah, that's right.
So people can't blame me.
Everyone's got full permission to do that. You dismember me and use my body parts to spell out the words subscribe to Baby Beard Media.
No, there's too many.
Use my my intestines. You like horror.
I do.
This should be right up your alley.
I don't like murdering people. You like horror? This should just be a natural progression, right? It's everyone who likes horror just starts
They're all
stabbing
deeply
people.
psychopathic.
Whoa.
I don't know. Oh, yeah. Oh.
I assume not, because I'm very empathetic.
It's just something that jumped out at me. Ghostbusters, what's your thoughts on it? Science fiction, right? It's got to be.
Right?
Is it?
I don't know.
Is The Mask
Comedy.
science fiction?
No.
Okay.
I'm just going to start drawing the line, but I'm not going to tell you why.
Yeah, no, that's fair
Because
enough.
otherwise
We'll be here
going.
forever.
Just keep going.
Video games.
I said Mass Effect.
Yeah.
I said it.
I love Mass Effect. We should do a Let's Play of Mass Effect.
We should.
Yeah, Sean would love that.
I don't think he's actually finished the game.
He hasn't, nor have I. I haven't finished 3.
Oh.
But I know what happens, and I'm unimpressed.
Oh.
Stop. What are you doing?
Who did you romance?
When did this become fucking ASMR?
Welcome to Baby Media.
Hey, welcome to...
It doesn't work because I keep laughing into it.
Hey. Hold on, let me try it. Shut up. I'm excited. Hi. Welcome to Baby Beard Media.
What's up, fuckers?
Hey. Shit for brains.
Who did you romance? Tell me.
I romanced the girl in the first one.
Ashley.
Yes.
Yep.
Romanced Ashley, and then I romanced... I can't remember if I continued romancing Ashley or I romanced Liara. One of those two. Because at the time I thought I was straight. So I was like, got to get them sweet alien titties.
So probably Liara then.
I think so.
Yeah. I romanced Garrus Vakarian.
I'm going to fist bump you.
Yay! Get that sweet Turian ass. Because he's
Hot.
fucking hot.
Yeah.
Because you know what?
Yeah.
He respects Shepard.
Yeah.
And
Shepard.
that's the hottest thing of all.
Not Rex.
No.
Didn't want to fuck Rex.
No. I
Why not?
don't think you can.
Yeah, you can't, but it doesn't mean you can't want to.
I don't want to. No.
There you go. Oh, Unreal Tournament. That's definitely sci-fi.
I don't know.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, you'd love that. No, you wouldn't, but we're playing it anyway.
Man. When are we going to play things I like?
Yeah, we will.
Hatterful Boyfriend is technically set in a post-war apocalypse.
Okay.
No, a post-war dystopia.
We can play that.
But I'm not talking about this pigeon dating simulator on this podcast.
No, save that for another podcast. Ellen's Pigeon Podcast. She's
It's my own
one
offshoot.
subscriber. It's Commander
It's
Holly.
a pigeon.
It's Commander Holly.
Just like pigeons?
You like pigeons?
Fuck yeah.
I really like Holly. She's a really lovely person. Anyway, what the fuck? I'm real tired, clearly. Well, this is 2 hours of us chatting.
Solid fucking gold content.
So Sean has apparently told us that we're not supposed to say, if you like what we do, please rate and review. I mean, we can say that, but apparently rating doesn't do much as opposed to subscribing. So we now have to figure out a new song for about subscribe. If you love our vibe, please give us a subscribe. If you want our content to survive, please subscribe.
Like,
It's
please.
not a rhyme. It's a half rhyme, I think.
You can
Vibe
do
and
vibe
subscribe.
and subscribe rhyme.
What
It's
up?
fine.
It's Chris, and this is L Dog. Why don't you hit the subscribe frog?
You're right. That was so much better. Yes, do that. And
Subscribe,
you can also-
like, why not? Just fucking do it.
And even if you want to leave us a review, we read them.
We
and
do,
we like
actually.
to respond to them. So it's a way to be interactive with this brand and for us to get to know you better because we want
We
you
like
to stick
you.
around.
Yeah. Until next time,
I've been Ellen.
I've been Chris. Thanks for listening to us ramble.
Thank you.
Ellen?
Oh, I thought you were just thanking me.
Oh, I am.
Oh.
Thank you for giving up
Listening to us ramble.
your evening.
Thank you.
You didn't have to.
You're welcome.
You did actually. That you're contractually obligated.
I didn't sign anything.
Not consciously. Smash cut to me, like you in bed, like me with the crayon.
I also like some of your earlier work. Oh god, we should stop at this instant.
Yeah, okay. All right, bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to contact us, you can do so by emailing us at babybeardmedia@gmail.com. Our socials are Facebook, Twitter and Instagram @babybeardmedia. And if you're looking for a way to support us, the best way you can do it is by jumping onto iTunes or the podcast app and giving us a 5-star rating and a nice review. Goes a long way to helping us. Otherwise, if you'd like to join us next week, we'll be looking at the music of Futurama. But this time, we actually will.